The ugly truth for business services professionals is that being smart or good about something is just not enough. Being good at filing corporate tax returns or getting the legal work done for a business transaction is no longer enough for business services professionals. In today's video, I'm going to talk about how clients buy. This book by McMakin and Fletcher that addresses the difficult challenge of selling consulting and professional services and how selling these services is much different than selling a tangible product. Hey there, I'm Chris and welcome to This Professional Life, a channel where I share my insights, strategies, and ideas around business development, as well as documenting interesting business stories that inspire my creativity. Now, before I dive into this book review, make sure to hit that subscribe button as every little bit helps build up this community and this channel. All right, as a business development professional who has spent many years supporting sales and marketing initiatives in the professional services industry, it has always baffled me that professionals are never officially taught how to sell the work that they do. They spend years and years training to be lawyers, accountants, financial analysts, engineers, and even architects, learning about how to do the work, but not really how to sell what they do. McMakin and Fletcher are two very experienced business services professionals, and in their book, they lay out a clear roadmap of how professionals can best position themselves to bring in new clients. So who are these two authors? Well, McMakin runs PI, Profitable Ideas Exchange, a consulting firm that helps some of the largest brands in professional services grow their business. Fletcher leads his own business development consulting firm, and prior to that, he co-founded an IT consulting firm that specialized in global web survey projects. Both are very experienced and sought after in the professional services industry, and how they've structured this book really demonstrates their years of being in the trenches, battling out, selling professional services. This book not only includes their own insights, but also is based on countless interviews with senior professionals and rainmakers working in a range of fields, including accounting, law, investment banking, real estate, and management consulting. Now, before we get into the key themes of this book, it is important to understand, and the book addresses this throughout, that professional services are not sold like you would sell a retail product. In fact, selling professional services is even different within the business-to-business realms. Now, while there are some shared techniques in the sale of tangible products and the sale of professional services, the approaches and ways of thinking differ vastly. This book has a very useful table that separates products from something called credence goods. Now, credence goods refers to goods that you can't taste or experience in advance prior to the sale. Essentially, you're purchasing on a certain level of blind faith. As an example, if I hire a lawyer, I assume that the lawyer is going to be able to fix my legal problems. I don't really get a free trial with the lawyer, so there is a bit of blind faith when you're purchasing professional services. Now, the book goes on to list many more differences, and it becomes quite obvious that selling professional services is significantly different and much harder than selling tangible products. Now, the authors position the argument that trust is the essential core to selling professional services. So rather than focus on sales tactics like funnels, prospecting, persuasion, negotiation tactics, or, lingos like ABC, always be closing, the authors dive deep into a client's buying journey and how that relates to the core trust factor. So how clients buy is broken down into 7 elements that map out the client buying journey. These are: I am aware of you, I understand what you do, I'm interested, I respect your work, I trust you, I'm able, and I'm ready. The key to putting all of this together is to focus on the end users of your services, which are your clients. Applying a design thinking approach, which is a whole other concept that will create a different video on its own, you'll begin looking at client experiences as they navigate through their day-to-day issues and identify how you can begin building trust with those prospective clients depending on where they are in the journey. So the first element of the client buying journey is I am aware of you. If the prospective client doesn't know you exist, then how can they engage with you in the first place? But building awareness for professional services firms isn't often the same as building awareness for retail products, where the more attention you get, the higher revenue potential your metrics achieve. Doug and Tom propose that for professional services firms, there are roughly 200 people who make the most impact for your firm. For example, an architect who wants to design skyscrapers around the world, there are 200 developers who need to know your name. If you're a corporate lawyer in a global law firm, there are 200 multinational corporations that need to know your name. Find out who those 200 people are for your profession and do some research on how best to connect with them so they know you exist. Second element is I understand what you do. Prospective clients may have heard of you or your firm, but it is still possible that they don't fully understand what you do. This becomes a big issue because if prospects don't have a good sense of what you do, They won't understand how you can help them now or with any issues they face in the future. One of the strategies that Tom and Doug talk about is focusing on a niche where you can be well known for. Not to pigeonhole into any one aspect of your profession, but to amplify your marketing and sales efforts to your prospective clients. For example, it is much easier for a potential client to know you for being a startup lawyer in the tech space versus just a general corporate lawyer. So once you've identified that niche and that focus, your marketing and pitching your professional services become that much easier and much more effective. Third element is I am interested. Doug and Tom identify this part of the journey as when clients begin to make decisions about whether to invest further with you. This can include touch points such as follow-on calls, meeting to further discuss opportunities, or maybe even request for proposal, those pesky RFPs. Through those touch points, however, it is important to remember that a potential client can really want to work with you, but they have more pressing objectives on their plate. Never mistaken a lack of interest for readiness. If someone's just not interested in what you have to offer, leave them alone. If someone is just not ready, stay in touch with them. Fourth element is I respect your work. Doug and Tom compare trust to both credibility and loyalty. Clients need to feel you can execute on what you say you can do, and they need to feel that you have their best interests at heart. In the book, both of these words are combined into one word, which is respect. Hence, this part of the journey is about potential clients respecting your ability to do the work. Many things can contribute to establishing respect from prospects, which include making your proposals relevant to their situation, having testimonials or current clients speak highly of the results you've delivered, and demonstration of real expertise, which can be in the form of written publications or even digital content. Now, the fifth element is I trust you. Clients need to trust that you will do right by them. Doug and Tom list 3 reasons why. First, the leap of faith is large. The reality is your clients are not experts in your field, or else they wouldn't need to hire you in the first place. The less knowledge your clients have in the field, the greater leap of faith is to trust that you can do the work. Second, trust gets everyone past conflicts of interest. For example, a true professional would never recommend a solution to a company whose board of directors they sat without disclosing it. Third, trust drives better performance. Clients know, even if subconsciously, that teams bound by trust will be a lot more effective in getting the work done. The sixth element is I am able. Clients need to be able to make the decision to hire you, and the timing needs to be right. This is what ability is referring to. The ability from a time and a budget perspective to engage your services. Part of this client journey will be to pre-qualify prospects you're communicating with. Doug and Tom talk about evaluating if there's a real opportunity, determining if there's a good fit, and finding out if there is actual budget or adequate budget to hire you. Another factor they discuss is ensuring that you are speaking to the right level person. Oftentimes, business development professionals, and I've caught myself in this before, but we find someone who's easy to talk to at the company, and we're having a great conversation, all the stars are aligning, only to find out that that person has very little say in determining budget or signing off on purchasing services. Now, don't ignore that person. Instead, leverage a conversation to find out who you truly need to speak with at that firm. Now, finally, the seventh element is I am ready. This last bit of client journey is obviously when your potential client is ready to engage, sign on the dotted line, and get working with you. Doug and Tom talk about being patient as there are many factors that can hamper this first engagement. They also remind you that you're not selling to potential clients, you're actually helping them succeed. So having this mindset will ensure that you engage in tactics to stay top of mind, continually to add value to the relationship with a potential client, even if they haven't officially signed on with you. Now, overall, this is a great book that's easy to read and follow, especially for professionals looking to get a better understanding of how to approach business development. While it is a detailed book, there are still many ideas and tactics and approaches that professionals will need to research, especially when it comes to today's digital world. That being said, Doug and Tom do provide you with some tactics at the end of each chapter to give you a starting point, at least, for each of the key points they make. Now, while I won't spoil the book for those of you who haven't read it yet, Doug and Tom also go through how to use their 7 elements as a diagnostic tool to evaluate your current situation and your firm's understanding of your clients' journeys. They also discuss some of their more macro philosophies of where professional services firms and the ecosystem such as academic institutions need to focus on to improve the understanding of business development amongst professionals. All in all, a great read and one that I've referenced in my own personal journey to developing business development strategies for the professional service firms that I've worked with in the past. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button to get notified every time we have new content. We will catch you in the next video.